What's going on, you guys? We've got to talk about this absolute ridiculous inclusion of Blake Lively being named in Time Magazine's 2025 Most Influential People of the Year. I have no idea how or why or who decided to put Blake Lively in this list. It's absolutely pointless. It makes no sense at all. I think everyone on the internet kind of looked at this and just kind of looked around with this puzzled look on their faces like, what? Are we living in a simulation? Is this for real? Like, are there like aliens out there somewhere controlling our minds, telling people to do something for people who've taken the blue pill? Like, is this what's really going on? This makes no sense at all. So let's go into this. Here's the really funny part about this list. Okay, there's a few categories. There's categories such as innovators, titans, artists, icons, leaders, pioneers. You know, these are the categories of every person in this top 100 influential list. And Blake Lively, guess which category she's listed under? She's listed under Titans. Titans. You know, Scarlett Johansson made this list. She was under artists. That makes sense. Ed Sheeran was listed under the artist category. Kristen Bell was listed under the artist category. So was Kristen Wiig. And here's Blake Lively under the Titans category. When I think of Titans, I think Titans of like industry or game changers, people who actually have so much power or accomplish so much in their careers that they can move mountains. That's what I think of a Titan. I think of industry giants like Henry Ford, right? Well, you know, there are industry giants on this list. Doug McMillon. There's Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta Airlines. Okay, that's reasonable. I respect that choice. There's Serena Williams is on the list under Titans. I respect that choice 100%. Serena Williams is literally the greatest tennis player, female tennis player of our generation. I mean, she changed women's tennis. She was the Tiger Woods of women's tennis. She made people have to play up to her level. And that's what Tiger Woods did. And that's what Serena did with tennis. She's on this list. I respect that. Lorne Michaels was listed as a Titan. That makes sense. You know, longtime producer of SNL. He has a lot of power and sway in this industry. I respect that 100%. Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO, founder of Facebook and Meta. Again, worth billions of dollars, is on this list. Joe Rogan. That makes sense. I respect that. He's on this list. Lisa Su. She's only the CEO of AMD, one of the largest chip manufacturers and GPU manufacturers out there. I respect that choice. And then you have Blake Lively. It doesn't make any sense. Like, who made this choice? Who decided on this? And what were they thinking? And were they bought out? Like, is Time Magazine bought and sold? I think so. This inclusion proves it. It doesn't make any sense at all. There's no logic behind any of this. So let's go look and read what Time Magazine wrote. It was written by Sherilyn Ifill. Here's the first sentence of this piece. I don't know the Blake Lively of the red carpet or the Met Gala. I never watched Gossip Girl. That's literally the first line. Well, duh. That makes sense. She doesn't know the Blake Lively of the red carpet or the Met Gala or Gossip Girl. She doesn't know anything about Blake Lively. She doesn't know the mean-spirited version of Blake Lively. That's who Blake Lively is. She's a celebrity, and she openly admits in the first line of this piece that she doesn't know the Blake Lively of the red carpet of Hollywood, right? the woman who hijacked, who ostracized the movie director Justin Baldoni out of his own film, demanded he get sent to the basement of his own movie premiere just because she could. Because she demanded it. Removed him from all marketing material, including the movie poster. Fired the composer of the movie, who was saying that he was afraid of his career after he was fired, even though he completed the score for It Ends With Us for no reason other than to take this movie hostage and then demand producer credits. This is unbelievable. That's the Blake Lively that we've seen. That's a Blake Lively we know based off of the evidence and her absolutely baseless sexual harassment claim. We've seen the clips where she claimed Justin Baldoni was harassing her, and he clearly wasn't. That's the Blake Lively we know. That's the Blake Lively of the red carpet, a petty, insecure narcissist. No surprise there. So anyways, let's keep reading this piece. The Blake Lively I know is a philanthropist and a student of our country's most intractable problems. Really? Okay. She and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, reached out in 2019 to make a contribution to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. They made a contribution in 2019. Yeah. This is the reason she gave for Blake Lively's inclusion in this list. That she, and not just herself, but Ryan Reynolds. So, Ryan Reynolds and herself made a donation in 2019 to the NAACP Legal Fund. That's the reason? Like, how is she a titan in the industry? Everything that she has done or started business-wise has absolutely failed. I mean, she's tried to launch her own lifestyle brand. That failed. She tried to launch Betty Booze and Betty Buzz, a booze company, by the way, where she claims she doesn't even drink, but created because she enjoys profiting, obviously. In which, well, she also promoted on It Ends With Us. It ends with Buzz. Betty Buzz. Betty Booze. In a movie about domestic violence. Absolutely ridiculous. That's failed. Her Blake Brown hair product line has absolutely failed because no one buys it. No one cares. She has absolutely no authenticity. To start a booze brand while you don't even drink, like, that is as inauthentic as you possibly could be. She adds no value. And, you know, to Ryan Reynolds' credit, at least he's funny and he has some sort of personality to be a spokesperson for some of the brands he represents, such as Mint Mobile and Mountain and Aviation Gin. You know, at least he's kind of funny. He has some talent. He can make people laugh. But what talent does Blake Lively have? She's literally brand poison. You know the term box office poison? She's brand poison. Nobody cares about her. Nobody's buying her products because of Blake Lively. So anyways, let's keep reading this piece from Time Magazine. I admired immediately her curiosity and her sincere work to understand the conditions that shaped this country. What? I remember an early conversation in which she expressed frustration that so much of our nation's history was not part of the instruction she had received as a student. Her commitment to filling those gaps and becoming the most fully informed and prepared citizen is what I appreciate most about her. The words she used, the most fully informed and prepared citizen. Blake Lively is the most fully informed and prepared citizen you've met. What world do you live in? How did she convince you that she cares. I mean, she had her wedding at a plantation in the South. This is what I really just don't like about Blake Lively, is the fact that she can manipulate people so well. Maybe that's, to her credit, why she is kind of influential, is that she can manipulate. I mean, she manipulated the whole cast of It Ends With Us through social manipulation, engineering, whatever you want to call it, gaslighting. She manipulated the whole cast to unfollow the director of the movie they were all starring in. I mean, that is just sick. That is sickening. That is so manipulative. And if that's the type of influence that they want to recognize, I'm fine with that. But the fact that they're recognizing the fact that she donated money in 2019, 6 years ago, that split between her and Ryan Reynolds to a NAACP legal defense fund, that suddenly makes her a titan in the industry? No, that doesn't make any sense. That's not the Blake Lively we know, or at least we've come to learn after this lawsuit and the facts and the evidence that's come out. And all of a sudden, she's become this saint, this informed and prepared citizen. Unbelievable. Let's finish this, okay? She then goes on to write, Blake is a serious person. She's a risk taker, and she's committed to moving this country forward for her children and for mine. Sherilyn Ifill, who wrote this, she's a civil rights lawyer. And she doesn't know Blake Lively, obviously. She only knows Blake Lively that she donated money. And that was the basis of her writing this piece. And again, the manipulation, right? This is what narcissists do, right? They manipulate people. They gaslight people. They make themselves the victim. And they use people so that they can look better. And it's very clear Blake Lively has been using people to make herself look like a star, a saint, to atone for her sins. God knows what kind of trauma she has in her life, along with her husband, Ryan Reynolds, that makes them so controlling, so demanding, so insecure that they must influence and manipulate people. These lists are absolutely pointless, but it's kind of like, journalists, right? They're very easily manipulated, especially when it comes to celebrity, because I feel like journalists are kind of like the smart kids in high school who never got to sit next to the popular kids, the cool girls, the mean girls, to sit at their tables. Yet they did everything they could to kind of like be friends with them. They tried to help them with their homework, write essays. They want to be part of the cool kids club. So they appease to these narcissists, these celebrities who crave it. And there's like this weird kind of dynamic between journalists and celebrities. It's kind of disgusting. They both feed off each other. And it makes sense, right? Because Blake Lively, she got a hit piece written about Justin Baldoni from her friends from the New York Times. And again, you have these people who are kind of psychopaths, right? They have no moral compass. They're willing to destroy people's careers just so that they can get power. They can make people fear them. And so they will befriend people in exchange for being treated like a celebrity, being invited to a party or an event with celebrities. It is alluring for a lot of these journalists. I can say that for sure. I can see how they can be easily swayed by the glamour, right? And the facade, the masks that these awful, awful psychopaths wear in order for people to think they're actually good people when they're absolutely not good people at all. Oh, man. Anyways, let's see what people are kind of saying about this. The comments from Time Magazine on their Instagram is absolutely Hilarious. Here's the thing, right? Blake Lively at this point is literally box office poison. She's social media poison as well. She can't post anything at all without people literally calling her out. And, you have a person who can't post anything on social media, who has to delete the comments, has to hide comments. And you're saying she's one of the most influential titans of 2025. Influential people. She's not. She has no more influence at all. Nobody cares about her. But anyway, let's see what people are saying. One person wrote, interesting to know that people can buy their way in. Blake, one of the most influential people? Really? Yeah. Yeah. Common sense, right? People are just calling her out on this bullshit. Another person wrote, your 100 list has lost all credibility after you included Blake Lively. Sorry, her behavior this year is not worthy of being included in this list. It's not. And again, what was the reasoning? She donated in 2019, 6 years ago. That makes her a titan. Anybody who has money can donate something. That means anybody who's rich, even though you're a complete douchebag, can donate money. Diddy, I think, donated a lot of money. Does that make him influential? I guess so. Doesn't really make you a good person, though. I mean, you'd think there would be some editorial process. I don't think you would list Diddy on this list because, well, that would be absolutely ridiculous, right? Anyways, let's see more of these comments. Someone wrote, these are all paid PR placements. Blake Lively, seriously? How much did they pay you to put her in the magazine? Smiley face. Absolutely true. It's again, people are paid. Just like just look at Justin Baldoni's podcast co-host Liz. What's her face? She was on Justin Baldoni's podcast as a co-host. Then Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, they fly her around, include her on a spot for their Wrexham documentary series, and all of a sudden they're friends. People of influence, these people, they're really good at manipulating people. Let's just put it that way. Again, it's like the unpopular kids in high school. They really want to be popular, so they'll do anything that they can to help the cool kids get more famous or more cool or more popular. These people, these journalists are absolutely bought. Here's another comment. The fact that Blake Lively is on this list makes it crystal clear that this has nothing to do with merit, earning, respect, or service to humanity. Who's next? Amber Heard? Oh my God. Man. It's so true. Again, like where is the editorial kind of decision making here? Who made these decisions? They're obviously clueless. They're either clueless or they're bought or they're just doing it just to troll everybody, just to sell more magazines. And again, this is legacy media. This is Time magazine we're talking about. They're dead. They're dying. Nobody cares. These lists will have less impact more and more every year as time goes on because nobody cares about them anymore. I think people are just fed up. People are fed up of celebrities. People are fed up of legacy media. People are fed up of journalists writing about absolutely nothing, just pulling favors. And the great thing about the internet now is that we see it as it is and we can call people out and it's very crystal clear. It's crystal clear. She did not deserve to be on this list. The actual point of these lists, again, I've been thinking about this, but it's all about the play between people who want to appease these celebrities, the favors. Because if think about it, right? Why do these awards exist? Because you have this ecosystem, right? In Hollywood, the celebrity universe, right? Where you have all of these people who just crave adoration and love. They want to be recognized. There's a demand for this, so you need to supply that demand to these celebrities. And that's why these lists and these awards, these pointless, fruitless lists and awards exist. And you know what? If you supply these narcissists and celebrities and CEOs, oh, by the way, I think there's a statistic that says 3% of all CEOs are actual psychopaths, which makes sense. But you have all of these psychopaths and narcissists who want to be recognized and be adored and loved by the public. You know, there's a demand for it. There's a marketplace, and there's people who can make money selling that, right? They can be invited to the cool kids table. And again, that's why these lists exist. So let's see who else is on this list. Just kind of scroll by. We already talked about Joe Rogan, Scarlett Johansson, well deserved. I like Scarlett Johansson, but again, she's in the artist category. That makes sense, right? Blake Lively's in the Titans category. Oh God, you can't make this up, man. This is a simulation, right? We've got to be living in a simulation. Rashida Jones made the artist category. Again, just talented actors, actresses. Hosier made the artist category. You know, makes sense. You have the icons. Demi Moore made this list as an icon. Adrian Brody, again, celebrities. You know, it's like it's one of those things, right? You know, it's like these lists and awards. They're here to recognize people who paid their dues in Hollywood. They've been around, and it's like, oh, let's just circle jerk around these guys and give them a round of applause. Give them a little brownie and a cookie as they're entering their twilight years. You know, it's okay. I'm fine with that, right? I'm fine with that. But man, Blake Lively under the Titans category really says it all. Like, what has she done? Blows my mind. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She was in Gossip Girl. What else? All right, let's see. Who else is on this list? You know, Donald Trump, Elon Musk. Makes sense. J.D. Vance, Megyn Kelly. All these people make sense. You have these big people. You have presidents. You have people in politics. They're very influential. They should be on this list. Blake Lively shares this recognition. Along with Serena Williams, Lorne Michaels, under the Titans category. Snoop Dogg made this list. Nikki Glaser, I love Nikki Glaser. She's got some big balls for a comedian. She made this list as an innovator. And, you know, again, I don't mind. I understand. Blake Lively stands out like a sore thumb. People are literally calling it out. Every post. Time Magazine just inundated with these comments about Blake Lively. They're probably wondering, like, wait, what did we get ourselves into? I don't know if they understand the whole wrath of you guys on the internet leaving these comments every time Blake Lively is mentioned. Social media poison is what we should call it. Oh my God. And again, let's think about what has Blake Lively done, right? There was a social media post, I think, on Instagram where an assistant director, Barbara Sisman, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but she left a comment about Blake Lively. She didn't actually name Blake, but this is what she said. I will say she was cruel to many. I know I cried my way home many nights because of her. This is an assistant director for A Simple Favor speaking about Blake Lively. And then she also goes on to say, she's the reason I quit the business. Yeah. She's the reason she quit the business. She quit as an assistant director because of Blake Lively and how she made her cry many nights on her way home. I mean, this is the person we're talking about. These celebrities who weren't loved as children, who need it, who desire it, who crave it. They're like kind of zombies who crave attention and adoration so much. They will just literally step on you. They will step on you and tell you to get the heck out of the way. Because that's all they want. The power and the fame. 60 Minutes Australia recently did a piece on this Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively case. I don't recommend you watch it. You can watch it on YouTube, but it's pretty awful how they frame Justin Baldoni as kind of a monster in this piece. But one of the interesting things that came out of this piece was this storyboard artist named Talia Spencer. You know, she's actually in the industry and she spoke out. She's one of the rare people who actually came out and spoke in favor of Justin Baldoni. And God bless her. I don't know if she's going to work anymore after this. I hope she does. She's very brave. She has a lot of courage, even coming out and saying that. But this is what she said. I feel like maybe Blake smelled his kindness, mistook it for weakness, and tried to take advantage and take power. She also said, Baldoni is one of the few directors I've worked for that was kind and respectful. He cared a lot about the vision of what we're trying to do here, and he was not in it for fame. That's what she said. Unbelievable, right? But that makes sense. You know, Justin Baldoni is one of those guys that is very kind, at least on set. And it's, you know, that saying, you know, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. I think Blake smelled that. People like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively and these celebrities, they're like sharks. They smell blood. When they smell blood, they bite. They chew you up and spit you out. Because for them, again, you have to think about their moral compass. They don't have any. For them, their moral compass points directly to, how can I become more famous? How can I be more loved? And if you don't align with their direction, like if you're not a director who has the same motives of being a complete dick, controlling, manipulative, if you're not one of those types in Hollywood, if you're not one of them or one of us, in Blake Lively's case, they look at you as kind of weak. You know, this is what a lot of psychopaths also feel. When they see people who have empathy, they look at it as a form of weakness. It doesn't really make sense to them. Like, why are they so empathetic? Why do they care about someone else? And so they bite. They recognize that. You see this a lot with these energy vampires out there. They see you empathizing. And they look at it like, oh, I can take advantage of this person. I can take advantage of you. I can suck your energy. I can squeeze the life out of you and gain more power. And you have these controlling people who smell blood and smell weakness, and they will step on you because you're lower. You're not a shark like us. You're not a vampire like us. And unfortunately, I think it's true. She had a lot of other nice things to say. You know, God bless her. Hopefully her career remains intact after all of this. So again, Blake Lively, Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of 2025. She is influential, but in the absolute wrong ways. The bad ways. The manipulative ways. The ways, well, you don't really want to celebrate or put them on a list. It doesn't add up. And the public understands this. We see right through everything now. And that's what I love about the internet now. As weird and trashy as people are, and brutal and ruthless people are on the internet, at least now we can fight back. At least now we have a voice. At least now we can leave some comments and tell people how it really is. And that's what I really do appreciate. At least for us in this cultural climate, we do have a voice. We can speak out. It's not about mainstream media. It's about us, the small content creators, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, the people who aren't famous, the people who aren't afraid of being blacklisted, the people who can speak out because we don't have any ties to the power that these celebrities hold. We can say whatever we want. And this is the new mainstream media. It's us. It's all of us. It's the little guys. It's all of you guys. You know, we make up the majority of the audience now, I feel like. At least maybe we're getting there. We're moving in the right direction. So, anyways, those are my thoughts. I just thought I'd throw this podcast up. Just rant about Blake Lively again. Not like I enjoy it, but it's very interesting, isn't it? All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to what's going on. I'm Darren. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.